Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WITV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. Hey friends, play along with me for a minute and imagine. Just imagine how you'd feel living the life you were meant to live, doing work you love, with people you love, in places you love, and all the while creating something of real value to others. That's what I call a life of significance. And I can tell you, it makes for a very happy life. And so can entrepreneur and philanthropist, Jeff Hillshire. He's my guest star today, and he's here to share his unique journey to his life of significance. Hey, Jeff, welcome to the Something Significant Show.
Hey, Matt, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Hey, just take a minute, if you will, and tell our audience what you're doing these days to leave your mark of significance on the world.
Oh, such a great question. So my personal purpose is to have an outsized positive impact on the world. So I look at everything I do through that lens. It starts with my 5 children. So we have 5 kids at our house, and my wife and I are working very hard to raise them as empathetic, caring people. I think the world needs more humans that are empathetic. And I've started a couple nonprofits that are doing some interesting things. I'm sure we'll get into that. I also run a couple of for-profits, and they're purpose-driven for-profits. So even though we're trying to make a profit, we are also trying to make an impact on the world. And I also write some leadership books that, while I certainly like for any leaders to work with them, nonprofit leaders and helping them be more growth entrepreneurial leaders is part of my mission.
Oh, that's great, Jeff. Okay, let's do a little math and let our friends all across the World Wide Web get to know you through the equation of our happy formula. And you know the one, it's simple, but it's very powerful. Capacity plus purpose equals happy. So let's start with capacity. What are your practices for building your personal capacity? Physical, mental, spiritual, financial, emotional. In other words, Jeff, what do you do on a regular basis to create all the capacity you need to take good care of yourself and your loved ones, your many loved ones, and still have plenty left over to give to others?
It's so the right question, Matt. Time is the most important thing that we have. We all have the same amount of it, and how we spend it to focus on emotional health, how we're making an impact, all of those things. So I start by having 4 focus areas. That's my family, my health, my for-profits, and then my doing good, which includes the nonprofits. So I've got those 4 buckets, and I evaluate all of my time through that. I color code my calendar accordingly. So I can look at any week, any month and go, okay, how much blue is there? How much pink is there? Pink is like do good, right? Yellow is things that maybe I should have said no to. And if there's a lot of yellow, that means I'm not spending my time in the right places. And, I think health, it's critical. Like I can't be good at any of the things I'm doing if I don't feel healthy, if I'm not taking care of myself. And to your point, that's physical, yes, but it's also emotional. It's also mental. So I try to take time to read, which is sort of my meditation. I've honestly never been good at meditating, but when I read, it helps me get calm and start to, think about my life. So I think those are the things I do to really focus on my, my purpose and how I spend my time.
That's, I've heard it said, don't tell me what you care about, show me your calendar, and then I can see what you care about.
That's right. That's right.
All right, before moving on to purpose, let's discuss my favorite capacity building concept called the Kaizen state of mind. It's based on the beautiful Japanese idea that small incremental improvements add up over time to yield great big results. A Kaizen state of mind is knowing there's always something I can do better tomorrow than I did today. It's a positive mindset. It's optimistic. It creates a gentle and yet powerful, continuous uplifting of my life, day after day after day. So Jeff, how does a Kaizen state of mind help you increase your personal capacity to continuously become more so you can continuously give more?
Yeah, that concept is so great. It reminds me, I just recently finished Will Smith's book. It's called Will. If people haven't read it or listened to it, I listened to it. He reads it. It's so good. He tells a story in that book about laying bricks. His dad told him and his brother they had to build this massive brick wall, and they were young. And to them, it was this daunting thing. And it took them like a year. And every day they literally would lay a brick, put down the cement, mix it, everything. And what he says he learned through that is that you can't look at how big the thing is that you're trying to accomplish. You have to lay a brick every day. And that's, even though I just read that, that's sort of how I've lived my life. When I write a book, so I just finished the first draft of my 4th book just a few days ago. It's 60,000 words. And someone might go, oh, 60,000 words. How do I even start that? Well, what I did was I just started Jan 1 and wrote every morning until it was finished. Yeah. And some mornings, 250 words, some 2,000 words. So whatever I'm doing, whether it's starting a nonprofit, running my businesses, I do try to break it down into simple tasks, build the habit. And that always leads to good success.
Yeah, very good. All right, let's dive into purpose, that second element of the happy formula. And I've discovered, or observed rather, that major life transformations and discovery of purpose often come from devastation, addictions, disease, death, disaster, some big crisis strips a life to its core. However, in my second book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I share the transformational process that I've used to discover my purpose using inspiration. So how about you, Jeff? Was there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you the purpose you were meant to live?
There was. So by the age of 35, I had built and sold 2 businesses. The first got to about 75 employees, the second to about 350 employees. I had been on various important nonprofit boards in Atlanta. I'd won, fastest growing company, best places to work, youngest CEO, all these sorts of things, right? And yet I felt like there was something missing and I didn't quite know what it was. So I spoke to my mentor and I thought he was going to say, maybe go get your MBA, because I started my first business in college. And instead he said, you need to go through this program called Leadership Atlanta. And so Leadership Atlanta they take 80 leaders each year, and it's a annual program. And it's purposefully diverse. So they take 40 men, 40 women, 40 people of color, 40 white people, and it's leaders across all spectrums. There's pastors of churches, there's CEOs of Fortune 500s, there's leaders of nonprofits. I was one of the entrepreneurs in the room. And so I was like, great, it sounds like the right thing to do. It sounds like what I would do, but I didn't realize what was going to happen to me in that program. The very first thing you do is you go through a 2-day race awareness weekend. Now, I didn't know what would happen in that. And I was quite frankly a bit nervous because for whatever reason, I hadn't had a substantial conversation about race really in my life. I'm a white, for those that can't see me, I'm a white man. And so for 2 days, I learned so much about what I'll call the real state of the world, and hearing from my classmates, architect, just super successful people, far more successful than me, but they were leaders of color, and the things that they had to deal with on a daily basis that I never even had to think about. For instance, one of the guys said that he gets pulled over once a month on average because he drives a BMW through Buckhead, which is like a nice area of Atlanta. And then I was asked how many times I've been ever pulled over for no reason. And the answer is 0. It's not something I have to worry about. Right. And the list just went on and on. And so I came out of that program. At first I felt some guilt, but then I realized there's an opportunity here and I didn't need to feel guilt. And then I realized my privilege doesn't stop at being white. I'm a man, I'm Christian, I'm straight, I have no disabilities. And so about a year after Leadership Atlanta, I was really just wrestling with this and realized that I've been given so many advantages that I shouldn't have in this world. And every day that I'm not fighting against that, I'm taking advantage of it. So I dedicated my life from that point forward to having an outsized positive impact on the world. I soon after started my next company, Dragon Army. We're a digital agency. We build mobile apps and websites, but everything we do is to inspire happiness. That's the purpose of that company. And that's why I love happy living and all the things you guys are doing. But so that's why I've started since then 3 nonprofits. That's why I do the things I do, mentoring young leaders. It all comes back to that. I feel like I have an opportunity because of the unfair advantage that I have to give back and try to fight against that.
I love that. And I think the key takeaway is to whom much is given, much is expected, I think is paraphrasing. And to me, that's the way you solve this problem is you give back. And you can give back in a bunch of different ways. And I think giving back local is a wonderful way to do it, but however you want to do it. But I think that crosses over, race, it crosses over gender, it crosses over a lot of the issues that we have with equity in our,
Yep.
in my opinion, in our country and around the world is based on wealth discrepancy. And so if you're a poor white kid in Appalachia, it might be, you know, your opportunities aren't as good either. And so I think reaching out when you have, that's why I love what we do at Something Significant. When you find this life that you love, you need to give because you're lucky, you're fortunate, you're, you know, to your word, you've been given a gift.
That's right.
So awesome. I love that, Jeff. Let's take a commercial break because I want to tell everyone about 3 things. How to get crystal clear about what they want from life, how they can design their life on purpose so they'll get it, and how happy living standing ready to help them. Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made for good people. That's why I love Happy Living's online e-course. It's an 8-week-long deep dive into you and the inspired life you want to live. The life you were put here on this earth to live. The one that you and only you can live. 8 weeks of lectures and ideas and topics and supporting materials and powerful self-improvement tools. All designed for you. All designed to help you create the tools and the power and the confidence you need to discover your purpose and to discover the life you were meant to live and to feel incredibly inspired and motivated to decide you will live your life to its fullest. It's all designed to help you create the unique and distinct philosophy of you and your inspired life. Go to happyliving.com, select our e-course, and save $100 with promo code WYTV7. And for every enrollment, I'll donate another $100 to WYTV7. For $300 and about 30 hours, I promise you'll never, ever be the same again. And we're back. And this is the Something Significant show. And I'm your host, Matt Gersper. And my special guest star today is entrepreneur and philanthropist, Jeff Hillshire. So Jeff, I love this article called The Science Behind the Power of Giving. I found it on lifescience.com, and it says the act of giving itself can be a gateway to discovering your reason for being on this planet. It says there's compelling scientific data to support the notion that giving one's time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway to discovering purpose, transcending difficulties, and finding fulfillment and meaning in life. So I've updated our formula. Capacity plus purpose plus giving equals really happy. What do you think, Jeff? From your experience, have you found that giving your time and talents and treasures has been a pathway for discovering your purpose and transcending difficulties that you've faced in life and for bringing real meaning into your life?
Without a doubt. I'll tell you what happened to me. So soon after I started Dragon Army in 2013, after going through Leadership Atlanta in 2012 and finding my purpose, I wanted to figure out a way to do more good. And so my answer for that was, what if I were to get a couple hundred people together in Atlanta that knew how to build websites, designers, developers, storytellers, project managers, quality assurance experts, brought them together for a weekend and to see if we could build 48 nonprofit websites in 48 hours. It was a big idea. You know, it was like, all right, let's just see if we can do it. And sure enough, several hundred people showed up. Many of us spent the night, both nights. It was insane. It was incredibly fun, but obviously we were all exhausted at the end of it. And I thought, okay, one and done. That Sunday afternoon, so we went from Friday to Sunday night. That Sunday afternoon, when we're just about finished with the event, a guy comes up to me at the front desk and he's like, "Hey, Jeff." And he's like wiping the sleep out of his eyes and he's exhausted. He's like, "Hey, can I just go ahead and put my name on the event for next year? I don't want to miss out." And I was like, what are you talking about? And so I was like, sure, I'm an entrepreneur. So I put a piece of paper out and I said, 2014, and he filled it out. And then I went and started working with other people, just making sure we were ready for the ending. And when I came back, there were like 30 or 40 names on the list for next year's event, which I didn't even think we were going to do. Right. And what I realized at that moment is I thought I had started this organization in order to help nonprofits get a free, new, beautiful website. I actually had started this organization to allow people to give their time and especially their superpower, their talent to do good in the world. We've since then built over 1,000 nonprofit websites. We're worldwide. So we have 3, 4, 5 events a year. Now they're worldwide because of COVID. So we do them virtually. And it's incredible to see the joy on people's faces when they get this opportunity. So I've learned through their experience just how powerful it is when you get to give in a meaningful way to yourself.
You've you know the organization Make-A-Wish.
Of course.
Everybody knows it. I was lucky enough to meet Frank Shankwitz, the guy who founded it, and he was taught the same lesson. And when people think about giving, they think about money. But there's all kinds of different currency. A singer-songwriter can give away their talent for an event. Programmers can give away their superpower. And Frank was very, very poor, and he was being mentored by a guy who owned a restaurant. I always forget, it's on Route 66. I always forget the name of the restaurant. It's a famous restaurant. And the guy's name was Juan Delgado. And Juan was teaching him about giving back. And Frank says, Juan, I have nothing to give. I'm poor. I've got nothing. He says, Frank, we all have something to give. And he said, you see over there, Mrs. Ramirez, she makes you burritos every day for your lunch for school. And so she's doing that for you. You can go over and you can weed her yard. And so we can all find something that we have excess capacity of. And it's not just money, it's time, it's talents, treasures. It's like the article says. And what your guys are learning, guys and gals, and is that the science is right. And I agree 100%. And I love too, that wonderful feeling that comes from the fourth element of significance, doing work that creates value for others. I know from my own experience that the magic of life comes more, not from getting more, but from giving more, as we've been talking about. But there's more to it than that. It's not just the giving that's magical, Jeff. What I've been exploring and experiencing too is it's when you're giving from living in your purpose. You've found your purpose, you've discovered why you're here, and you're giving from there. That's where the real magic is. So Jeff, tell us, how does it make you feel when you're giving to others through the leadership work you were put on this planet to do? And a reader of your book says, if you want to build a team that has a great culture and gets things done, Jeff's great team turnaround book is for you. Another one says, this book should be in the hands of everyone that wants to be a great leader. Best business read out there. Or a Dragon Army customer writes, they take the extra step to understand what makes us unique and provide solutions to reflect that. Or a team member says, I've honestly never seen a company with team members as positive and a culture as strong as Dragon Army's. And another simply says, best culture I've ever worked in. So Jeff, how does all that make you feel?
That makes me feel really good. And it makes me feel good because I know that other people are having happier, more fulfilled lives because of those things, right? Like it definitely feels good to the ego for someone to say, you know, this book had meaning to me, or I love working at this company you created. But when I know that people are having better lives, I mean, that's the thing. Like we've worked with many of our dragons, as we call them, for them to find their personal purpose. And when I hear a dragon repeat their purpose to me or tell me how much that meant to them, that they now know why they're on this planet, that means I'm fulfilling my purpose. And it's the greatest thing in the world.
And that's it. That's the magic. It's purpose and giving. Jeff makes this great, big, happy circle. Giving your time and talents and treasures is a pathway to discovering purpose, and giving from living in your purpose brings about profound joy. Giving leads to purpose, and giving from purpose leads to joy. So to more properly reflect the exponential power of the happy formula, I've got to tweak it just a bit more. Capacity times purpose times giving equals happy to the third power. And that's really, truly deeply happy.
Hmm.
Does that sound about right to you, Jeff?
I love that. Yep. I love it. And I can attest, like, I'm a very happy, I'm a very happy person. And I really think it's because I believe I know why I'm on this planet, and I'm able to figure out ways to continue living into that. And it frees up the burden. So many burdens in your life when you're living in that space.
And folks out there, I know we say this every week, but that's the gig. Keep looking. You got to find your purpose. When you do, your life gets easier. It doesn't just get happier, it gets easier as well. It's a beautiful thing. So Jeff, this has been great, but we've got to wrap things up. And I like to do that with a lightning round. So I'm going to read a few of my favorite quotes, and then you respond telling us what each of them means to you. And Jeff, give us the first thing that comes to your mind, because it's called a lightning round.
Okay, you got it.
Okay. From Lao Tzu, if I keep from imposing on people, they become themselves.
I think that, to me, that says, as a leader, I need to be a good delegator and give people trust and autonomy.
Good. From Dr. Wayne Dyer, by unconditionally sharing and giving, you'll thrill at the experience of living.
Oh yeah. I mean, that just feels like everything that I do, I'm trying to give and help, and it makes my life better. I'm selfish in that respect. Like, I want to help people because I know my life's going to improve.
There's a great story in that article about the power of giving. I hope folks, I hope you'll read it. And it's a story of this world-renowned model and her fiance, who is a photographer, and a horrible disaster they went through, and how she came out of it. And she says exactly the same thing, that if you don't give, you're really missing out, because there's such a profound joy in the giving. And so you got to figure out how to work your life so you can include giving to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. I think is one of the keys to happiness. Okay, from Billy Joel, paraphrasing Socrates, the more I learn, the less I know.
That's great. So I read a ton. I read 56 books last year. I'm doing that to educate myself and to be a better, more empathetic person, understanding other cultures, other lives. But the more I read, absolutely, the more I realize I just have no idea.
True. Me too. Okay, this is a little long one, but I love it. It's from Khalil Gibran. And he says, work is love made visible. If you cannot work with love, but only with distaste, it's better that you should leave your work and sit at the gate of the temple and take alms from those who work with joy.
Wow. That makes me think of, we do something at Dragon Army called acknowledgements. It's at our company meetings where we open up for 20 minutes for people to acknowledge their teammates. And I'm telling you, almost every time there's tears at some point where somebody is thanking someone else and other people are crying. We had someone start on their first day, and of course they didn't participate in the acknowledgements because they had just been there. And I looked over at one point and she was crying in the meeting because of what she felt. And she told me later, she's like, it felt like I was in a bit of a cult. You guys are all so like joyful and loving to each other. So that's what it made me think of.
Yeah, we're ready for kindness. People are ready for kindness. This is a show anchor from Goff. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
So the name of my blog and my newsletter is Begin the Begin. It's my favorite REM song, but that idea, you got to get started. It's like I talked about with writing the book. You got to start, just put down 200 words, just get started. So most people who have dreams, they never take that first step, and that's a shame.
Yeah, very good. Okay, folks, now it's your turn to play along with us. If you can hear my voice and you were inspired by today's show with Jeff Hillshire, please share some love with our amazing broadcast team by giving what you can to WITV7. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness. Jeff, I love your purpose to have an outsized positive impact on the world. And I admire how you created a company where doing good is a part of the everyday, where you take resolute care of one another, your clients, and your growth and your community, and how your people first approach produces great results and feels great too. And I'm super happy that you've shared your entrepreneurial wisdom on our show today. Would you please take a minute or so and share any parting remarks you'd like to leave with our audience?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Matt. I appreciate it. I love all the stuff you're doing. Yeah, I'm going to sound a little bit like a broken record after all the things that we just talked about. But after every one of my talks, I always say the number one thing I want you to walk out of here with is find your personal purpose. To me, it can be as simple as, what are you amazing at? What's your superpower? And then what's the change you want to see in the world? You put those two things together and you're going to get pretty darn close to your purpose. Once you have that, your life's going to change forever.
Right on. All right. Wonderful, Jeff. Thank you. And I also want to thank WITV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guests like Jeff and reaching folks just like you, ready to create your own extraordinary lives. A special thank you to our sponsors, The Philosophy of You and Your Inspired Life and Happy Living. If you're ready to create your inspired life, we're ready to help. Just go to happyliving.com, select eCourse, and let's get started today. Most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to websites and social media and all things Jeff Hillshire. Find him, friend him, sign up for his newsletter focused on purpose, leadership, entrepreneurship, and doing good. Read the blog he's been writing for nearly 15 years. Listen to his podcast of refreshing conversations with inspiring guests, and buy his series of the Turnaround Leadership books. It's all available at his name, jeffhillshire.com. That's all one word, JEFFHILIMIRE.com. From me to you, dear friends, I love you, and I want you to be really, truly, deeply happy. And to help you, just go to happyliving.com right now and take our happy quiz. Because when you measure your happy, you'll focus attention on it. And focusing attention on it inspires change and learning and improvement to flow right into your life. And speaking of life improvement, I hope Jeff has got you motivated and feeling confident and bold and excited to improve your life, ready to bring to life your unique and distinct reason for being on this planet, because that's where you'll find how to make your mark of significance on the world. And the world needs to hear from you. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome, and this is the Something Significant Show. And we're out.
Awesome.